Hello, I'm Matt Pettit, a Senior Product Expert and Head of Innovation for Matcha Technologies. We're really excited here at Matcha because we've recently released a new version which contains a number of exciting new features. The first of which is an enhancement to our reporting and analytical software that exists within Matcha, and we call this Matcha Insights. So how Matcha Insights differs from the normal reporting and analytical tools is that it's really answering many of the very important questions that we as practitioners of embryology need to answer very quickly. So it's questions that the quality managers might have, such as how many mistakes have we made in the last 30 days, or in the last week, or even this year? And of those mistakes, who made the errors, and where were the errors, and what procedures do the errors most likely to occur? There are some other important questions that Matcha Insights answers, such as how much space do I have in my cryo stores? Or am I storing anything under liquid nitrogen that's being stored illegally? And if so, when do I need to renew those samples for consent? Also, do I need to reorder any stock? So for stock inventory, it's answering those questions very quickly. Or are we currently using any products that have expired and should not be in use? One very important question that's been asked of by many of our customers is, how long is it taking me to complete a process? So from one procedure to another procedure in a process map, or even across multiple process maps, how long am I taking? And how do I compare to other members of the group? So this Matcha Insights is a really good way of enhancing your quality management generally, but also to help drive efficiencies, to help promote best practice. It gives you a really good insight into the work that's been captured within Matcha. So the second feature that we've developed that we're also very excited about is a feature that we're calling Matcha UniTrack. So what is Matcha UniTrack? Well, it's really tackling one of the problems that's been facing many of us, particularly performing functions such as biopsy for PGT. So UniTrack differs from the normal witnessing because it's not only witnessing the identity of the patient, but it's also witnessing the identity of the individual embryo. So all the way down to the embryo level, we can guarantee that if we're moving an embryo from a culture well, we know what the number of the culture well is. So we're moving it from culture well 1, for instance, into its corresponding biopsy dish, which must also be numbered biopsy dish number 1, and then into its corresponding PCR tube. And if the numbers don't match, then the system will give you an alert to say that yes, the patient identity matches, but the number of the specimen doesn't. So at the end of the process, we have that cast iron guarantee that the embryo that's contained within the vitrification device matches the biopsy that's contained within the PCR tube. But UniTrack can be used for other things, not just for the processing of embryos for biopsy. It's also very useful, for instance, for selecting the fate of an embryo. So after you have the results relating to the quality, or once you've received the PGT results, for instance, or if you have data relating to morphokinetics, you're then empowered to be able to make decisions about which embryo needs to be transferred to the patient. So we can either reject embryos that we don't want to transfer, and if you try to remove those from the liquid nitrogen stores, the system will give you an alert to say that's the wrong embryo. Or conversely, we can preferentially select embryos for transfer. So if we had a grade 1 AA embryo that was euploid, that might be the one that we want to transfer when the patient next visits the clinic for a frozen embryo transfer. So the system will read the uniquely identifiable barcode on the embryo, and it will verify and confirm that that is in fact the correct embryo for transfer. You can use that for disposal as well, to make sure that you're safely disposing of samples and not discarding the wrong embryos when it's time to clear out. There's all sorts of other functionality around UniTrack, but they're the main features relating to UniTrack. So the third thing we've developed, yes, there's more, is the Pocket Matcher. So Pocket Matcher has been used for quite some time now, but We've responded to some of our customers' requests and we've put a lot more functionality onto the Pocket Matcher. So in the palm of your hand, you can do a lot more around the clinic. So for instance, I can log into the Pocket Matcher. I can scan for the patient using a barcode, for instance. But once I've found the patient record, I can make changes to the patient record. I can take a photograph of the patient using the Pocket Matcher to identify the patient at the point of entry into the process. I can very easily navigate to the patient's partner. I can also swipe across on the Pocket Matcher and see what is everything that's been cryopreserved for this patient, and even drill down further, and it gives me all of the details of everything that's been frozen, including the quality of the embryos and whereabouts they are, so I can find them very easily in the cryo stores. There's other functionality built into the Pocket Matcher, so I can now start a cycle. I can even print off a label sheet without having to go to a computer. There's all sorts of other information within the Pocket Matcher now, so I can go into the patient's process map and I can see exactly whereabouts I am within their cycle, and I've got a complete historical record of all of the procedures that have been performed and all of the expected procedures that need to be performed next. So I can really do the vast majority of my work just from the Pocket Matcher, which is great. The final feature that we've developed, we've released into Matcha 5.3, is translation. There's been a lot of call from many of our customers to translate Matcha into their own language. So we've done that. We've already completely translated Matcha into 8 languages, including all of the common ones that you would expect. But the important thing about the translation feature of Matcha is that we now have the capability to translate Matcha into any language. With all of those new features, which is Matcha Insights, Matcha UniTrack, translation, and all of the new features that now exist within Pocket Matcher, we have a greatly enhanced quality management system, and it's available now.